Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Covenant Keeper podcast. This is Brent, and I'm here with my beautiful wife, Miss Lucy.
Yes, good morning or good afternoon.
You still in morning time, babe?
Wherever. What? Some people might be hearing this and it's good morning.
Okay, that is true. So let's take
Yes.
into consideration. Good morning, good afternoon,
And good evening.
and good evening. I was going to say good night, but that means it would be at the end.
Yes, exactly.
So not until after the podcast. Don't go to bed until after the podcast. So we're very grateful to have you guys with us today for another episode. It's been a couple weeks since we've been on here. Been kind of busy with everything that's going on. Counseling is really picking up right now.
But more so with the family and stuff. Busyness as far as you say busy. Oh, we've been really busy. I don't like to.
No. Not like it's a badge of honor to be busy.
Unless I'm like busy. We have a good mix, I think, of work and family and downtime.
Yes. The point is, my queen, that counseling's picking up, which is a good thing. I mean, we're able to help be assistants, I should say, of more people walking alongside them in their times with their marriages and family, which is a blessing. But at the same time,
it's hard to see people hurting.
It is hard to see people hurting. And just, man, so grateful for God that He's there for us, like in all times and all things. I'm just grateful for that. This past weekend, I'm trying to think back. The past weekend. So Friday, date night. Which we go on a date night. Well, I don't want to give the wrong idea. We try to go, like Friday is our date day. So sometimes we don't go out at night per se. We'll do something together throughout the day. Now I know what you guys are thinking. That know us, because we work together. Like we work together. We live together. We're together. Like I like to say 24/7, 360. Because there's a couple days we have to make doctor's appointments, and when we're getting stuff there, we can't always be together, especially since COVID, right? Because they won't let you to come together. Like the time you went to the doctor, they wouldn't let me in the waiting room, so I just stood at the glass door with my face pressed on it, waiting for you to come out. No, I'm just kidding. But we're together a lot. So our Friday date day, well, actually date night. We went on a date Friday night.
Yeah, we actually went on a some night date.
Good friends of ours, which we always love to get together with other couples. Nothing, just being together, man, just being in community is awesome. Having people to bounce stuff off of and just go through life together. So important in having a healthy relationship, that you got people to speak into your marriage. And that's always fun, which we got to eat my favorite. Gosh, that's not my favorite food. I don't know what the heck I'm saying. My second or third favorite food, as always, my pizza calzone, number one favorite food, which I know you love that because it's not great for health-wise, but good.
Great.
Second favorite food, can I say Mexican? Mexican food, probably.
I mean, can you say Mexican?
Because I like to group the whole Mexican style food, because it's not just one dish. Oh, wait, there is. Chicken chimichanga. Love my chicken chimichanga, right? You agree?
Sure.
And third, definitely, my third favorite is what we did Friday night, was sushi. And I'm not a big fan of the real raw sushi. I like the crispy sushi. The sushi that has the crispy. What?
Nothing. You like the crispy everything.
I do like crispy everything. That's why my calzones are always good, and my crispy chicken. Anyway, Friday date night. I'm getting all, of course.
I'm just like, I guess we're talking about food today.
I guess it is. And we just ate, so it's not like I'm hungry. So it's not that. So we got to do a date night, hanging out with friends. Super awesome. Great time connecting. And then on Saturday, babe, what did we do on Saturday?
Oh, we had a kids' party to go to on Saturday.
We did have a kids' party.
Yeah, the never-ending energy of kids.
Well, 6 years old, right? Our niece turned 6 years old. So we got to go to that.
One of those bounce house. No, it wasn't a bounce house.
No.
The trampoline parks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looked like a lot of fun, but...
You didn't get on the trampoline, I take it.
No. Are you kidding me? There was a million kids and all these different play areas, trampolines or whatever. I just amazed that, like, I guess how much fun kids, when they're younger, like they just get lost in it. And then they have never-ending energy.
Do you miss being a kid, babe?
Miss being a kid? No.
I'm just asking.
I'm just You know, when you're younger, you don't appreciate any of the stuff.
I did.
No, you didn't.
We used to.
When you're younger, you don't really appreciate those things. It's when you're older that you look back and you're
Hmm,
like, oh, yeah, that time of my life, that was cool, not having to worry about X, Y, and Z.
what do you mean about that? But I really enjoyed like being off on the weekends and
mhm,
going now. Birthday parties, we didn't have like birthday parties like we go to today, where I mean, you're actually going to a place and have an event
right.
and they got stuff planned. It was literally people would come over and we would just go outside and play. Now for
Mhm.
boys, obviously, we'd go out in the woods and climb trees and build forts and get dirty and play in the mud and jump off things that literally break your legs and do stuff like that. That was fun for me.
Well, we have a boy who was
Yeah,
100% in his element this weekend
he
because he
was,
loves
man.
to climb and jump and throw himself and like we it was funny because we saw a couple of the little girls come back crying. Oh, somebody
uh,
bumped into me. Oh, somebody threw a ball at me, and they're just like in
well,
tears.
they were girly girls.
And
Girly, which is not bad because girls should be girls.
our son just came back a couple times.
Yeah,
One was to take his jacket off
that dude was sweating because he was out there
because he
bouncing around like
was, yes,
so crazy.
and the second time was to
Yeah.
eat,
Hey, man. Yeah.
and then he was out and
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
But it's just awesome to see like their never ending energy,
Mm.
and it's good that they can, you know, have a place to go.
Literally bounce off the walls.
Yes, and
Literally bounce off the walls.
get rid of a lot of that, pent up energy that if you're like keeping them at home so much, especially during this time of the
Mm.
pandemic, that some people are still scared to leave their house.
Yes.
Kids need that,
Yes.
you know.
Yes, absolutely.
But we also had some other conversations. I know we've talked about like parents aging,
Was
right?
that yesterday morning when we started talking about that? I
I,
think it was, right?
possibly, but I know we have in the last few days.
Yeah.
But just the thought of, you know, getting older and then our parents getting older. Like when you're young, like,
Hmm.
our kids, we don't think about our parents being old and gray. Like you don't think about that. I remember when I was like younger and a teenager, like
Yeah.
my parents said I couldn't, it wasn't a thought, right?
Mm.
But
Well,
now,
when I was my age that I am now, like that didn't make sense. When my dad was my age that I am now,
that's
is
what I
what
was
I meant to
wondering.
say.
What are you saying?
See what? I did. I start thinking about before I start letting words fall out of my mouth. Um, like
When your dad was your
my
age.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I knew he was older, but he didn't seem old,
Old, right.
right? But now being that age that my dad was back then that I am now, like you start to realize, like, man, life is short. I mean, typically,
Hmm.
I guess I'm at that midlife range to be. I mean, we're looking at numbers. I don't feel like I'm halfway through my life, but looking at numbers, you're kind of halfway there. And I'm kind of going with the whole 100 thing. Nah, I know you can.
You're not 50. Stop
I
that.
said kind of almost like at the halfway, half range, half cup full.
Anyway, the conversation led us
Yes.
to talking about like old age and, when parents are no longer here, which you've
Mm,
lost a parent.
yeah.
So you have one, and mine are still here with me.
Hmm.
And I remember us having that conversation, and like, I don't even like to talk about it. I don't like to,
Yeah.
as soon as we start talking about it, it just makes me emotional because this is like the first time that like that aging
Mm,
has become real to me as far as my parents, because they have some things that they need taken care of as far as their health goes. But
mm,
then thinking,
yeah.
right,
Hmm.
when we get older and when we pass, right, what
Just
what are
kind of
people
we just jump from being old to passing.
well, but because it's important, like what are people going to say about us
Mm,
when we're no longer here? And I just wonder how many people out there actually think about that, right? Like,
well,
what are you doing with the time that you have? And
mhm.
is it going to count? Does it matter? Are you leaving this place better than you found it? What are you shaking your head for?
Because most people don't think about that until something comes up to spark that thought in your brain.
What do you mean, like when you have like
You don't sit around thinking about what are they going to say at my funeral? You
Well,
know,
no, but that's why we're bringing it up because it is a very good question
it's
to
a
ask
it
yourself.
is a great question, but most people don't think about that, right? But if you were to ask yourself that question,
Well,
what?
no, no, don't ask it yet. First, I'm going to read the verse from Ecclesiastes.
Okay, read it.
It's in Ecclesiastes 7, and it's the very first scripture verse.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "A good name is better than fine perfume, and the day of death better than the day of birth." Now, I remember the first time I read that, and
Yeah.
I'm like, holy smokes, how is the day you die better than the day you were first born?
Well, yeah. I mean, because if you're thinking about passing or having a family member pass,
Well, you've been to
you
funerals?
what?
Have you been to funerals?
Yes, I've been to
How many
funerals.
would you say?
Huh. I don't know a number. I don't know what number. I'm gonna say 15 to 20, probably.
Holy smokes. 15 to 20 funerals.
Yeah.
Oh my
There's
gosh.
been a lot of people's passed in my family.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I take it you haven't been.
Not to 15 to 20. I'd
Okay.
probably say a handful,
Okay.
I think. Probably like a handful. Five, maybe five or
Well,
six.
you don't see a lot of. There's a lot of mourning at funerals. So when I think about the day of passing,
Doesn't seem like a,
it's not like
like where this verse says.
whereas like the birth, when you're born, I mean, people are celebrating.
Right.
You know, back in the day, you used to hand out cigars. The dad would hand out cigars, and boy, it's a girl. That's
Right.
back before all the gender reveal things. You didn't know. So you go to the gift shop, but
Yeah.
now you're gonna be stocked and ready to go before the baby even comes. You can actually have the room all set up and clothes all in the closet picked up, ready to go. But anyway, that's another story. But day of birth was a day of celebration. This is a new life, a new adventure, right? So it was a day of celebration to bring life into the world.
So you're saying when you went to funerals, it was like it was a lot of sadness and mourning because that's what I thought. Like when I was younger, I don't even want to go to funerals. Like I don't want to be sad. Like it's almost like you're inviting people to go there to purposely be sad. Now this was when I was younger. Like now I
Well,
think differently.
I don't know, man. I may be talking out of turn here, but I don't know a lot of people that think about going to a funeral and thinking this is going to be fun.
Okay. Now let's explain a little bit more
Yeah.
of our well, at least my understanding from my perspective what I understand this to mean.
When you say this, you mean
The verse that I read.
read it again.
Specifically, okay,
Read it
I'm going to
again.
read the whole thing again, but I'm specifically talking about the second half. A good name, a good name is better than fine perfume,
Mhm.
and the day of death better than the day of birth. Now,
Mhm.
as I started, because I really leaned into God, like, what does that mean? Because for sure, I've never thought about funerals being like happy times or like better than birth, right? Because, like you said, when a baby's born, everybody's cheering and yay, so awesome. And when a person dies, it's like sad and crying.
Mm.
However, if you think about it this way, totally different. When a baby's born,
Mhm.
they have no past.
Right.
You're literally just celebrating
It's
that
new.
they made it out into the world alive, right?
Yes. Yes.
And it's a new life that just joined the family,
Mhm.
which is good, not downplaying it. But when you're dying or when you're dead and people are going to your funeral,
Mhm.
like people are literally celebrating your life, like what you imparted, what you've left
Mhm.
here, your legacy,
Right.
right? And and maybe it's because I'm older now, right? That I hear people saying such great things about individuals on like when they die, people get up there and they speak all these awesome things.
Mhm.
Sometimes I wonder why people don't share all those awesome things throughout a person's life while they're alive.
Hmm.
And a lot of times people
Well, those
like
people. I mean, the people that's passed don't even get to hear
right
what people thought
thought
about them,
yeah
right?
mm-hmm
And that was the question that we had is like for each other is like, what do we want people to say about us at our funeral? Like, what do you want people to say about you at your funeral? Thinking about it from that perspective, because the choices and everything that we're doing today,
mm.
is what they're going to talk about
when you die.
on that day. What their memory of you is, how you made them feel,
Mm-hmm.
the time that you spent together, the type of person you were, the type of character you had, the type
Mm-hmm.
of personality that you are.
Makes me think of the movie A Christmas Carol.
Mm-hmm.
What was his name?
A Christmas Carol? No,
Yeah,
you're
the
thinking
guy. The
Wonderful
Chris.
Life? It's a Wonderful
No,
Life?
no, 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 no.
Oh, Ebenezer Scrooge?
Yeah, him.
Yes. Okay.
Him.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of person he like? Because they
That
they
is
show
true.
him, right? Like, this is his death, and nobody comes to his funeral.
Well,
Like,
yeah, they showed a couple. Like if he
right?
was never born after his death, so they showed all that. Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like, man, that's pretty sad. Like, if you're that kind of person that people like can't wait till you die, that's kind of crazy. But
Well, yeah,
the
I wouldn't
person
want
that
that.
actually like people will miss,
Mm.
like, man, we're really gonna miss this person. They really added value to my life.
Yeah.
They just by being my friend, I'd love to be that person that my, like, your family's like, she was a great sister, she was a great daughter, she
Mm-hmm.
was a great friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she
So
left us better, like we're better people, but for knowing her.
I was going to ask you this question, and I know you've thought about this, and so I'm going to ask you this. Hopefully, it doesn't
Oh Lord.
catch you off guard. She loves it when I do this, and we don't talk about this beforehand. What do you want people to say at your eulogy? Like, what would you want them to say? Like, what would be your desire that you would hope to hear
Well,
if you could hear it?
my biggest thing
Mm-hmm.
is, and I like, this is from the bottom of my heart, where I am today
Mm-hmm.
in my journey. I would just love to leave a godly legacy with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, she really knew God. Like, we could look at her life and say she knew God. Like, she showed me what God is like.
Mm.
And a lot, I think about our kids, for them to have that, because I know they're going to pass that along.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I don't care about the money. I don't care about the house. I don't care about the stuff. I don't know. Some people fight about that stuff. And I pray that nobody's fighting over stuff when we're gone. Like,
we're gonna sell it all, man. There's not gonna be anything to fight over. Just kidding, kids. There'll be something in a shoebox out in the backyard. But no, I agree with it. I mean, all the stuff is gonna go away one day. All the stuff is gonna go away. Like Ecclesiastes, right? You want to talk about the book Ecclesiastes? Like, everything's a vapor. All the stuff that we're working for today, in essence, will be gone tomorrow at some point. It's going to vanish. If it doesn't deteriorate, it's going to get passed on to someone. It's going to be gone, and that's not the stuff that's going to stick with people.
Well, and that's why it was on my heart to really talk about this with people, because I don't think a lot of people think like that. A lot of people are like just thinking about, okay, where I want to get to at work, career wise,
right?
How far I want to go. I got to climb the ladder.
Yep.
I got to achieve the American dream. I can't wait to buy this size house or this kind of car.
Yep.
It's just about stuff.
Well, yeah, because when you think, again, taking it back to that point of the eulogy, and I could be wrong. Maybe it's just the funerals that I've been to, but I never hear anybody say, Bob had a really nice house. And did you see his house? Like, his house is awesome. They're usually not sharing about that kind of stuff.
Or he has a really nice car, shiny, always clean, and
maybe that does happen, but in most cases, that's not what you're hearing at funerals.
Yeah, not the ones that I've been at.
No. Yeah, they're usually typically talking about, again, what type of person they were,
the character of
the character, and how people felt when they're around them. Right? Yes. Those moments that, man, he was the funniest person, or she was so funny. Like, oh my gosh, she could turn a joke out of anything. Like, I really felt like you said, I really felt accepted around them. I felt loved. Like, you could just feel the love. When they walked into the room, wow. Like, the room just lit up. I'm really going to miss that. Those kind of things are the things people remember. Now, like, man, you remember that time? And man, Bob was a really sharp dresser. Like, I'm sorry, Bob, if you're out there.
Well, some people might notice that, like they're
Well,
always very kept,
and that's one
right?
aspect of it, but really,
Well,
like
but mostly
you're
it's
gonna
the
put that on your
character.
tombstone. Here lies Bob. He sure was a good dresser.
That's
He's a
not what I'm saying.
sharp dressed guy.
Well, but no, it's a hard question for a lot of people to answer.
But I think you should ask that question,
But you
right?
should, because that's really like what you've done with the peace that God gave you here on earth.
Hmm.
What have you done with that in between?
Yeah. Well,
What
go ahead.
no, what are you doing with it? And if you've never asked this question, it's a great question to have conversation with your spouse about. Like
Hmm.
what are you doing in your marriage right now? Are you making it count?
Okay. Yes, and that was one of the questions that I wanted to point out. It was like when I asked, okay, what do you want people to say at your eulogy or at your funeral?
Hmm.
Right? Have a picture of what you want that is, and how do you make that happen
Hmm.
today? Like the choices and decisions that you make today, which is going to bring fruit,
Hmm.
right, in the future on that day. Like if you want to be that person that says, like you said, I heard something totally different. I want to be a woman after God's own heart. Like I want them to say that Lucy was a woman after God's own heart. Sorry, that's my thing that I want. I don't want people to say that. But anyway, like if you want that, what are you doing as far as today to make that come in the future? Right? Are you living that out in your everyday life to make that happen? If you want them to say, "Man, Brent was a really good father. Like the way that he loved his kids and he showed he loved his
Hmm.
kids." If I want to see that in my future, if I want to become that, I need to start putting things into action today,
If,
making that happen
right. And
in
for
real
people that are
terms.
listening, like if you think about what you want people to say about you
Like what's important to you.
and see if you look in the future and somebody's standing up there
Hmm.
talking about you, is what you're doing today matching that? Because if it's not,
It's not going to be.
it's time to get to work.
Yeah.
It's time to get to work.
Yeah.
Because if you're wanting to impact people
Mm.
in a certain way, so when you pass and people are speaking about you,
Mm.
it's like, man, they loved people well.
Hmm.
They served people well.
Hmm.
When they were around us, man, it was just like we were complete. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Like if you want people to say those things, is this what you're living out?
Right.
Right? With
Read
the
that.
time that we
Bring
have.
that verse up again, because thinking about that, and again on a practical aspect of it. Read that.
So it's Ecclesiastes 7:1.
Mm.
And it says, a good name is better than fine perfume,
Mm.
and the day of death better than the day of birth.
I think that all ties together too,
It
right?
does. It does
Because
because
that
the good
the
name. I'm sorry. I was gonna speak on that and you stole it from me.
speak away,
No,
baby.
go ahead. I'm gonna let you speak.
I submit to you.
No,
Go, go.
I'm gonna let you lead that one. Go ahead.
Well, no, because a lot of us we don't think about keeping a good name, right? Are you a person that stands behind your word? Because I want to talk about like how do you get a good name?
Integrity.
Thank you, baby. That's exactly what I was going to say. Integrity. Like, do you do what you say you're going to do, even when no one's watching?
Mm.
That you like if you give your word to something, people can stand and say, okay, he gave me his word. I know it's going to come. It's going to come to pass. He's going to
Mm-hmm.
do it. If you say you're going to be somewhere on time,
Mm-hmm.
be there, right? Like the Bible says again, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Don't say something if you don't have full intention to make it happen,
Mm.
right? And when you do, again, there may be an emergency or something that happens. You don't just not show up or not reach out to someone. You need to step up and say, hey, I'm sorry. This is what's happening. And give them the reason, the true
Mm-hmm.
reason, not just because you flaked out or you didn't want to make it happen, but
Mm.
stand on what you say you're going to do and actually do it, right? If especially for Christians, like, hey, I'm a Christian and I'm standing up to be a Christian, you need to walk that out, right? Just because you have a cross on your neck and a fish on the back of your car doesn't make you a good Christian. Are you doing what God's calling you to do? And I'm not saying you got this perfection is what you have to be. Everybody makes
Mm.
mistakes,
I
but
think there's a combination of things like being humble.
yes.
Humility attracts people. Being humble, being gentle with people, being loving,
Mm-hmm.
right? just having that joy that you bring along with you that's infectious. When people are around you,
Yeah.
like, why are you so happy? Like, what? Why are you always smiling? Like, that is the joy that literally comes from God
Mm-hmm.
that you can't really, it's sometimes it's hard to explain.
Mm. Well, yes, and I know where you're going, but something that sticks to me, especially with the marriage podcast, right? And you hear me talk about this all the time, but I got to speak on it again because it's something that God has placed in my heart. Being a good husband and a good wife, right? Keeping that good name, right? How you're treating your spouse, how you treat your wife, how you treat your husband. How do you talk to each other when you're around other people? Do you show honor and respect to your spouse?
Mm.
Do you belittle them in front of other people? That's not giving you a good name.
No.
You're not displaying yourself as honorable, right? So yeah, your spouse makes a mistake. Do you like beat them up because they made a mistake? Do you belittle them, make them feel small, degrade them in those moments, in those times? That's not going to give you a good name. It's not going to give you a good name with the people outside your walls. But check it out, guys. What about the kids that are inside your walls that are saying this? Would they say that their mom and dad have a good name? Are they walking that out, guys? And I'm not saying we make it perfect every time, but what I'm saying that's the bar that's set, not by us, by God.
We don't. I'm not saying. Well, we're not saying we're perfect, but we
put
for
a standard
sure.
there.
Well, for sure,
very intentional,
shooting for that.
Yes,
every single day.
Like if you know where the target is and you're aiming at it, you're going to have a much better chance of hitting it than if you have no target and you're just throwing stuff up into the sky. You could chances of you hitting the target's going to be like none. You're not going to hit it unless just fluke chance. But set that. What's wrong?
Nothing. I'm just thinking of
setting that standard. Like I want to have a good name. I want people to say something good about me at my eulogy, at my wake. Like I was saying, I want them to say, "Man, he was a man after God's own heart."
Well, like a real celebration of life.
That was always my thing.
I know. We have these friends that we go out with and we take pictures with, and we're like, let's take celebration of life pictures.
And I'm saving them all because we don't share typically we don't share pictures on our personal social media.
Not all the time. I don't really care to.
Because I mean,
that's our life.
That's just us, though.
Yeah, it's our life.
Sometimes nothing wrong with it.
Sometimes you share some.
Well, I have
because that's just who you are. But
because I love you and I want to show everybody how beautiful you
are. Okay. So where I was going with it,
yes,
celebration of life. Coming back to the verse that we shared, that's really what this verse is talking about. Like the day of your death being better than the day of your birth. Like people are gonna say some stuff about you. That day is gonna be awesome. And I know a lot of people don't think, okay, the day of my death, awesome, really, but it's gonna be awesome based on how you've lived.
Yes.
So celebration of your life means we're gonna look back at your whole life. Right? And what stands out more to people? All the bad you did or all the good?
The good, for sure.
So if you haven't had this conversation with your spouse, with your kids, I mean, it'd be great to have with your kids, right? Even though they don't think about that because they're kids and they think they're invincible and they're going to live forever. But
that's some people out there that think,
it's a great dinner time conversation.
It is. Hey guys, gather around the table today. We're going to talk about the day of your death. We're going to run to the kitchen table.
We're not going to advertise that. This is just
catch them off guard when they show up. How's your chicken? Hey, what about the day you die? What they're going to say?
Okay, you're definitely not leading the conversation today. But I definitely welcome everyone who's listening to ask yourself that question. What do you want people to say about you when your life comes to an end? And I know some people are like, oh, I'm afraid of death. And are you afraid of dying?
No.
I'm definitely not afraid.
I mean, I don't want to rush it.
Well, nobody wants to rush it.
But a lot of stuff I need to do still.
If the day comes sooner rather than later, I'm not afraid because I know where I'm going. I have peace. I just want to make sure that I impact as many people as possible for Christ with who I am and the way that I am with people. Yes. That is my goal, especially with my children, because they're, little people that we're raising up to send out into the world to impact more people. So that's our main focus, but also impacting everybody else that God brings brings to us.
So, guys, that's the question of the day. We want everyone that's listening to think about that. What would you want someone to say at your funeral? What would you want them to say about you? What would be that thing that they could share with everyone? What's
The
that memory?
celebration of life speech.
Yes, celebration of life. Think about that. Ask yourself that question. And what would I need to be doing today to make that happen on that day?
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, babe?
No, just make it count.
Make it count.
Make it count.
So, guys, we hope you enjoyed the podcast today. This is Brent, and I'm here with my beautiful wife, Lucy. And if you want to catch any more... What?
Yes, you said that like a question. Beautiful wife, Lucy? Like you got another wife.
I do not have another wife, nor do I want another wife.
Mm.
You're my beautiful wife.
Okay. You sound for sure now. Go ahead.
Okay. You're beautiful. And you're my wife. So, if you like the podcast and you want to catch more of the podcast or other episodes, make sure you go to the website, ck4life.org. Got it right. And check out all the other podcasts, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope that it's helpful. Leave a message in the comments. Leave a message on the post to let us know what you think. Hey, put down there what you would like people to say at your celebration of life. We love you guys, and we'll see you next time. God bless. Stand for God. Stand for marriage. We're covenant keepers.